I was reflecting on this when it came, what was I reflecting on? Obviously I was thinking about this thing. I just sat down and here we go. Stuff I was thinking about. What was I was thinking about? Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz and this is Ascension Presents. So, I've been working with some students recently and we were actually working on just how do we do things excellently? Now, pause. We're going to talk about excellence, but I do not want to talk about perfectionism. And not only perfectionism, I don't want to talk about perfection at all. We know that the perfect is the enemy of the good. We just know this. We know that if I can't do something perfectly, I don't want to do it at all. We know that if the goal is perfection, then I'm never even going to try because I can never be perfect. Excellence is not the same thing as perfection. And we just get that right out of the gate, right away. Excellence is simply kind of what your mom taught you your whole life. Excellence is doing your best. And in so many ways, right? Being the best version of yourself, as people have talked about before. But excellence, like how do you quantify excellence? Like how do you measure excellence? And so I just want to offer, there's many, many ways we could do this. But there are two kind of factors or two kind of metrics that you could look at to say, okay, am I actually striving for excellence or am I settling for mediocrity? And these two, they're really simple. And actually, they're so simple that you might think like, okay, this is, here they go. One is promptness. Did I say that right? Do you hear me right? Promptness. An aspect of excellence is nothing more than promptness. Basically, showing up on time, doing things on time, like getting your work done on time. And this is, or even to say it, starting your work when it's time to start your work. Or how about this? Starting your recreation when it's time to start your recreation. Or how about this? Going to sleep when you're supposed to go to sleep. Promptness is just a timeliness, a recognition of, I will do this when I get the chance. So again, keep this in mind, not perfectionism. Because I imagine that many people watching this or listening to this, we all have things where it's like, oh my gosh, that's been on the back burner for a really long time. And there's so many, you're juggling 12 things that to be handed 3 more is really, really difficult. You can't do all those things all at the same time. And if that's you right now, give yourself a little bit of a break and recognize that maybe you have those 12 things in the air, or 12 plus 3, which would be 15 things in the air. Maybe they're not all your job. Now, maybe it might be all your job. That's a whole nother story. The issue here is not perfection. The issue here is excellence. In that sense of, am I doing things, starting them? Am I finishing them on time? Again, when I say promptness, as I said, sometimes that means showing up on time. And so this is one of those things that is almost, not always, but almost entirely in our control. Am I showing up on time? I have a friend, his job, he was the boss. And on his desk, I think it was just maybe facing him, was this saying. And the saying was, punctuality is the politeness of princes. Maybe it was of kings, but either way. But punctuality is the politeness of princes in the sense that, like, okay, everyone has to do what the prince or the king or whoever, the boss, everyone has to do what the boss says. So what the boss can do. That way he can be polite, the way he can actually show respect and be gracious to the people that work for him, work with him, his subjects, in the case of the prince, is he can be on time. That's just one of those things. Again, sometimes we can't be on time, but the number of times we give ourselves an excuse, and I'm looking in a mirror right now, like I'm talking to myself, because all of our students will be watching this, they'll be like, oh, really? Punctuality is a politeness of priests? Apparently not. I'm going to do my best. But that's part of excellence, is promptness in showing up on time, punctuality. But it's also promptness in acting when it's time to act. And again, this is just so important. This promptness, acting when it's time to act. Right now is not the time to act. Sometimes next week is going to be the time to act for certain things. But the key here, and the key for excellence, the key for integrity is, do I act when it's time to act? Do I do what I said I was going to do? So first, again, only out of 2, there are many aspects of excellence, but here are 2 that can be very, very important. The first one, promptness. Do I show up on time? Do I do my work on time? Do I get back to people on time? Again, I'm guilty of this. I'm not perfect. I want to strive for excellence though. Promptness. The second one also starts with a P, and it's being prepared. So as an example, we were talking with our liturgy team, right? All of the musicians who are coming to Mass and serving at Mass in the role of musician. We have our lectors, our extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. We have our servers. And I was just kind of talking to them about, like, okay, so if the one way we can honor the Lord in the Mass. One of the ways we can honor the Lord in the Mass is to have an excellent Mass, like to have our music be excellent, to have our lectors proclaim God's word excellently, to have the servers serve excellently. Everyone knows what they're doing. But we can't always control that, right? Sometimes our skill level, and when it comes to music or when it comes to lecturing or whatever the thing is, it varies. One way we can control our excellence is, am I prepared? So musicians, okay, maybe some musicians are more talented than others. Maybe some lectors are just better at it than others. Maybe some servers, they don't always know exactly what to do, whatever the thing is. Maybe some priests are better than others when it comes to preaching. The one thing that we can do in order to control excellence is, am I prepared? Like, did I practice? Sometimes, the sound system doesn't work. Sometimes this thing goes wrong. Sometimes that thing goes wrong. Everything falls apart. But for when it comes to excellence, the question I get to ask myself is, did I show up prepared? Yeah, did I take the time in advance of this to get ready for this event? If I wasn't prepared and it still went well, that might still not be excellent. That might still just be mediocre. Why? Because just what some teachers have said, maybe you got a paper back or a test back, a project back, and you got like a C. And you're like, wait a second, this is better than everyone else's work. And they looked at you and they said, yeah, but it's not your best work. This is a C level out of you. You have A level in you. Something similar is true when it comes to I'm talking about the liturgy right now, when it comes to like music, when it comes to lecturing, when it comes to those roles that we need to be prepared for. If I'm prepared and it doesn't go well, that could still be excellent. If I'm not prepared and it goes really, really well, that could still be mediocre. We recognize that as, again, stay away from perfectionism. Perfectionism has no place, I say, in the Christian's life. But excellence does. And one of the ways, again, they're very doable. Two of the very doable ways that we can strive for excellence, not perfection, is to strive after promptness. Do I show up on time? Do I do my work on time? Do I do I rest on time? Do I do what I'm supposed to do on time? And secondly, preparedness. Do I prepare? Or do I kind of show up and just kind of go through it half-heartedly? Do I kind of just show up and just wing it? And the reason behind this all is because God has given you gifts. God has given you these talents. God has given you skills. God has given you potential. And one of the ways that we honor God is by using those gifts. One of the ways we honor God is by developing those skills. One of the ways we honor God is by maximizing that potential. And we will not do that unless we do even these two most basic, completely simple things: being prompt and being prepared. I think that over time ends up beginning, at least, to create an excellent life. Anyways, that's all I got for today from all of us here at Ascension Presents. My name is Father Mike. God bless.